This is Red Moon Role-Playing.
Masks of Nyarlathotep. Where last we left our investigators, it seems most matters in New York City had been settled, at least as pertains to the case of Jackson Elias and the Cult of the Bloody Tongue, but there are still some loose ends, tendrils, tendons, and blood vessels that need to be cauterized. In this case, what we are looking at is, of course, the release of Jackson Elias from prison. The possible implication of one police officer by the name of Captain Foster as responsible, or at least linked, to a lot of the cultist activities. The burgeoning, maybe it's too strong a definition, romance between Erica Carlisle and Shelby Shattuck. The apparent recognition that Rupert had for Barey when he returned for his cult artifacts. Of course, Felix is still troubled by phantoms from his past. Sometimes they appear to be tangible. They appear to be able to interact with the world. Madeline, as well as bearing any number of injuries. Her heart does beat for Jackson Elias, at least to a degree. It may not be what one would consider true love, but they have a connection. And Shelby, well, this is going to make one hell of a story when you can put it to paper. This could be the making of you as a novelist, but you know that this story has not finished. We are 1 week on from where last we left our tale. By this point, various of our characters have checked into hotels around New York. It's not that you're sick of the sight of each other so much, but at this point, there's no real need for everyone to be camping out in Madeline's bedsit. Plus, for at least 2 days, Madeline, you have been scrubbing that place hard because there were a lot of blood and other bodily fluids vented from the temporarily tongueless Barey while he was in there. And this has given each of you the possibility to go off on your own investigations, pursue your own activities, hobbies, and interests, while, of course, always aware that Jackson Elias is still in his cell. You believe the wheels are in motion. There was a news headline in the Globe talking about how apparently charges might be dropped against Elias. And you have been in touch with his solicitor many times, Madeline, in the form of Carlton Ramsey, asking for any progress, and he's rather frustratingly been forced to tell you, I can't speak on it. It's in the hands of the prison system, the police, the courts right now. But things are moving in the right direction. So there's a lot of impatience and a lot of distractions with it. Let's start with you, Madeline. A week has passed, as I say. Some of your wounds you've been able to lick and they've healed somewhat. Tell me, what's on Madeline's mind, and is there anything in the city that she is pursuing right now? You are hotly aware that the Battalion of King David, the committee, have been protesting day and night at the prison to ensure that Jackson Elias receives his immediate release, or at the very least a fair trial. Have you joined them at all for this protest?
No, I don't want to be on the front lines of that calculated nonsense. It has a purpose. It's driving a conversation, a narrative, the support, the eyes, and the attention that we need, but I don't need to be front line of that. King David is occupying more than enough space himself. I will continue to incite, encourage, and empower that from the periphery, but no, I don't need to be on the front lines with His Majesty. However, given the circumstances, my home is no longer livable. At this point, I've probably lost a couple days of scent just from the pure amount of bleach and any other cleaning chemicals I can get onto the floor, the walls, the baseboards, the bathroom. I can't stay there anymore. It's not safe to stay there anymore. So I'll have to at least spend a good part of this week trying to find a new piece of real estate to relocate to. So I'll be looking at moving. I am probably Jackson's barrister's most annoying figure, with the amount of letters and phone calls and drop-bys and, hey, did you consider this? Or is this piece of information relevant? Or do you think this would expedite things? Or what if we... I'm sure I have worn that man to exhaustion with all of my, air quotations, help. Outside of that, my primary focus, Keeper, is I need to relocate. I can't be there anymore. They know where I live. I need to get out of that particular situation.
Out of interest, when you're looking for new accommodation, would it still be in Harlem, or are you going to head farther afield? You travel light, you don't have a mass of luggage that you need to move from one place to the other, but are you planning on staying in a hotel room until the heat dies down, or are you looking to rent something more long-term?
You know when you have an ideal in your head and you're moving that direction, and then at some point right before you go to sleep at night or right when you wake up in the morning, just those quick beats when you have a moment of actual rest, when your window of tolerance opens up beyond the stress and the trauma and the fear and you get some clarity. I probably spend 3 or 4 days genuinely taking tours of other brownstones, apartments, long-term living. I'm trying to make considerations on the size of the apartment, the size of the home, and then some morning I wake up as I'm preparing coffee and I realize we're getting ready to leave. We're leaving New York. I have no idea how long we're going to be abroad. It makes no sense to invest the time and the energy into a lease or a purchase or anything. Permanency in Harlem doesn't make any sense. Not when we're on our way out the door. It'll have to be some type of short-term housing, perhaps in a hotel or some type of dwelling that rents on like maybe a 1 to 3 month lease basis.
There's plenty of spaces like that in Harlem. And yet there's what is your sanity standing at right now, Madeline?
Okay, guys, my sanity right now is sitting on a 55 under 75.
Okay, so you're not panicked. It's not a pressing need to just flee Harlem. But there is still an ounce or two of paranoia there, given that you're approaching the median level. And so it's when you're searching for temporary accommodation, something maybe you could move into when you return, however long this trip is going to be. And you're outside of Harlem now. You've checked out a couple of places in the Upper West Side. You've headed south into Chelsea, which isn't typically a neighborhood that people like yourself would be dwelling in.
Mm-hmm.
And there is most certainly an upgrade in the quality of accommodation here. Looking at the buildings from outside, and in honesty, that's about all you're allowed to do in most cases. There is that taste of gold in your mouth, that possibility that all of this could, theoretically, pay off. Maybe there's some money to be made from all of this. Once Jackson is out, maybe once your story can be told, maybe you will be able to live in a place like this. But would you want to? Would you want to move 20, 30 blocks away from where you've made your permanent residence all your life? It's a bit of a mind twister, because you want to upgrade, you want to feel a little luxury for once in your life. You want to stop feeling like you're on the edge of a precipice. But is it right to, I guess, deny your home culture? And just to emphasize that point, I don't think you should be here, ma'am. A familiarly tall fellow steps out from his automobile. It is marked up black, but you can see he has a police badge in the windscreen. It is the erstwhile Captain Foster. This neighborhood ain't for you. Now, what are you doing sniffing around a place like this?
I don't turn to look at him. He doesn't deserve my attention in that capacity, at least not now. My eyes stay on the building. I can't suppress the wince when I do recognize his voice. And I don't answer him for a heartbeat. And then I reach into my purse and I hand him...
Oh, whoa, whoa. Hands where I can see them.
And both of my palms go up at my hips. The newspaper clipping said that it was a warm, inviting, and welcoming neighborhood.
You know, people like you and I mean, blue collar. We don't live in a place like this, he says, looking up at the building, adjusting his hat so that he can see past the brim. We live down with the dirt, with the scum, with the criminal element. Even when we're honest workers, he says, gesturing at himself, but not gesturing at you. I've been keeping an eye on you, Miss Hopper, because I'm sure you've heard what I've heard. And I want to know, he says, advancing on you now, what exactly have you done to make the department put a squeeze on my balls?
As he approaches, I involuntarily take 1, 2, 3 steps away before I find enough resolve to plant myself. And I finally give him my attention. And I look to him. I'm just a simple girl, Captain Foster. Those questions are far beyond my ability to comprehend or to articulate. It's very unfortunate that you are feeling pressure, and my eyes drop to his growing level to accent that point professionally. But you're clever. I'm sure you'll find a way out of this unfortunate circumstance that you found yourself in.
Oh, I'm sure I will. I've got friends. And when he's saying that, as he is not able to maintain eye contact with you, there is a fear there. There is most definitely an anxiety. It's the way he's behaving now. His hands have entered his pockets, those big pockets on the side of his long jacket. You wouldn't be surprised if they were even shaking a little, or if he's about to lose his temper, if he's about to go for a gun in one of those pockets. No, he wouldn't be so brazen as to open fire in the middle of Chelsea. These streets are busy with decent folk. He takes one more step toward you. Your inability to articulate has not stopped you from finding friends in the prison service, has it? What is it? You got dirt on the warden or something? You can tell me. Maybe I'll make it worth your while. Maybe I can pull some strings for you. Maybe you, people like you, have always got someone else inside who needs a break. And then he pulls a hand out and wags a finger in your face. I bet you've got a cousin who's been slinging something, or selling guns. You know the type. Maybe my friends have been putting a bit too much pressure on your cousin, let's say, and you want us to step off. I can make that happen. I just want to know what your in is.
That finger comes out and I can't help but to follow it almost like a pendulum as it swings in my face. I bite the inside of my cheek just to find a moment of resolve, and that's when I notice the shaking, that fear. There's no way that I don't feel a surge of empowerment, at least in that moment, because that is something I was completely not expecting, being ambushed by this thing that is so far out of his jurisdiction that I don't think either of us are safe. But there's something happening. There's a current of something happening between us, and I don't quite have a full finger on it, but it's enough. It is just enough that I can plug into and at least energize myself with some form of courage. And I look at him, and as much as I despise this man for what he did to Jackson, as much as I despise this man for who he is, what he stands for, this is the embodiment of everything that is wrong with everything. That empathy just winces across my face. I'll tell you my end if you tell me what you're afraid of.
Oh, that makes his semi-confident smile drop. And then there is real fear, which he quickly masks, but there's no doubt about it. And now there's a scowl that has replaced his expression. And his hand goes back, not to his pocket, but inside his jacket. You know he's tempted. You know he's tempted despite the witnesses. He is watching those walls close in right now. He knows he may be approaching the end of the line. What I'm afraid of, Miss Hopper? I'll make you and your friends afraid. That's what I'm gonna do. If I'm going down, if I'm going down any place, I'm going down like a fucking fireball. I'm going down like the Titanic, and I'm gonna take all you passengers down with me. No lifeboats, nothing. Do you understand what I'm saying, you bitch? You come here, a place like this, he gestures at Chelsea, a place where he most certainly doesn't belong. And you think you can make deals with me? Clearly having forgotten he's the person who approached you. You think you can push me around? I'm a captain of the NYPD. I could end you in this street right now, and I'd probably get a commendation. At which point, make a luck roll.
I'm rolling under a 16. That is a 78.
Well. At which point, he yanks his hand free from inside his jacket. He does have his revolver in his hand, and he immediately whips you across the head, the forehead, with the butt of it. There are some shouts and screams from people close by, only 15 yards away, and they see this. And what's more, they see that it's unprovoked. No one is watching you thinking you're starting a fight. He is the person raising his voice. He is someone who is clearly out of control. And so there are shouts, protestations, "Hey, what are you doing to her?" etc. At which point he slides the gun back in its holster. He puts his hands up. I'm a police officer. She was threatening the peace. And he gestures at you as you are leaning forward slightly, dripping from the forehead now.
I was going to say, can I go all the way to ground? Can I lean all the way into that? Narrative is narrative. Optics are optics. And at this point, I can't bring him down and I can't confront him further. The best I can do is fall to a place of submission and hope for the best. So I think on contact, I go straight to ground. This is going to be straight to ground, and I am going to absolutely dial up the natural fear and the natural pain that I'm feeling and put all of that on 120%. This is going to be a very petite, crying, frantic, panicked black woman on the ground that is going to be crab walking away from this situation. Some of it is admittedly theatrics, but a lot of this is just channeling on what's naturally present.
Now, there are definitely onlookers who are watching this as you fall to the ground and thinking to themselves, good. They don't get involved. They walk on by or even afford themselves a small smirk, these devils in human flesh. But there are others, good Samaritans out there, people composed of a more modern attitude, shall we say, who, unafraid of this man declaring himself a police officer, run to you. One stands between him and you. The other runs to your side. A woman patting you on the back, on the shoulders. You okay, darling? Come on, let's get you away from him.
Tears are running down my face. Those aren't fabricated. Those are real. Along with the blood that's running down my face.
You can hear Captain Foster's laughter, but it is nervous, it is strained. More people are surrounding him now. And other cops are approaching. Cops from this jurisdiction. You are quite right, Madeline, when you said that this is not his jurisdiction. It's pretty fucking far from his jurisdiction. Captain or not, with many witnesses around, he just assaulted a civilian. Oh, he probably won't carry any charge for it, but this isn't going to help his case. The lady who has run to your assistance does her best to help you up. Come on, I'll take you someplace. I'll take you someplace you can get cleaned up.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm going to scramble up, and I am going to shelter in this strange woman's arms, because at least this is a pocket of safety that I have in this situation.
And sure enough, she takes you into a cafe, puts her hand up to the cashier, the waiting staff, as if to say, don't ask. Asks, do you got a restroom? And they show her the way, where she takes you to the door, says, I'll give you some privacy. I'll stand by the door, make sure nobody interrupts, and make sure that man don't come back. You come out when you're good and ready, okay?
Thank you.
And I'll call you a cab wherever it is you want to go.
Yeah, I need to go home.
Okay, darling, you can go home. Just clean yourself up first.
And I'm going to walk into that bathroom. I'm going to shut and lock the door behind me. I'm going to put my back to it and slink to the floor, pull my knees to my chest, and just wail until I can get all of that out of my nervous system. He did much worse to Jackson. I can survive this. And as harrowing as it is to admit, this is just another day of being a black woman in America. And I'm going to work all of that out on the floor through crying.
You don't get to hear what Captain Foster is saying to the onlookers, to the cops who have approached him, who basically tell him, fuck off back to your own beat, Captain. Your precinct ain't anywhere near here, so anything you're up to is no good. He tries to laugh it off, but he knows that his name has been recorded. He knows that his number has been noted down. And if you could hear him, you would hear Captain Foster spitting any number of racial slurs, trying to indict your good name. But whenever he tries to speak up, the witnesses, emboldened now by the fact that they seem to have some police on their side, shout him down until he finally just puts his hands up, climbs into his car, snarls, and drives off at speed. Hopefully, Shelby is having a slightly better time of it. What about you, Shelby? Since the events that took place last week, everything appears to have been reasonably quiet. Rupert and Arturo have left you in peace for a while. Rupert said that he had reached out to some scholars, experts at various universities on the East Coast in New England, and he was going to visit some of them to see whether they could make head or tail of the books that you had acquired from Erica Carlyle's house, and he hasn't returned yet. And it's odd not to have him, well, at your side or on your coattails or leading you off on a merry distraction. So Shelby, what's your activity?
I want to try to keep following the leads, keep pursuing the chase, get more information. But the first day, it feels almost impossible to move, to think. Chasing the leads have been all we've done for what it feels like weeks, months, years. It's just been nonstop. And there's only so far that can go. At some point, you need to just stop. And so for a day, I just wander New York. I go through the motions, getting a hotel, moving my things. Occasionally catch myself turning to point something out to Rupert, realizing he's not there. Thinking about just everything to Felix and Madeline and how much both of them have suffered through all of this. And remembering why I started getting into this, because this all started with my obsession with the occult, my trying to find a way to talk to my parents after they died, try to find a way to reconnect with them. And so for a day just goes by in a blur. And then the next day, I go, right, I've had my day. Now I need to go back to work. Because Felix and Madeline have suffered. Maybe I have too. I don't really want to think about that too much. But I know they have. And they're my friends. So all of this needs to mean something. And yes, I did agree that I wouldn't work after the cult. I wouldn't go after the cult. And I won't right now. But there was that missing book from Harvard University. Africa's Dark Sects. We handed it back. I handed it back, let's be honest. Doesn't mean I can't find out more information about that book, because they seemed really keen to get that book back. And I'm pretty sure that was the book that Elias was looking for, too.
You are correct.
So, if I could find out more about what that is, maybe call someone at Harvard or ask around about it. It may lead to nowhere, but it's a start.
You can make a few phone calls. You can get in touch with what might be the appropriate departments, history, folklore, at Harvard. Introducing yourself as you do, and do you do so as a travel writer, as a novelist? After all, they're probably not going to waste the time digging through the archives or explaining at length to a random caller.
No, I will say that I am putting together a travel log, and I will reference my time abroad and point them to the book that I never put together, but they don't know that it never got put together and published, from Peru. And just say that I put together a trip into Africa. I had heard about this book. I wanted to see if I can get some more, let's call it local color, as I start to put together my trip and my travel log.
Okay, I'm not going to ask you to make a roll for that, Eddy. I think once you've left your details with Harvard, and no doubt they would have been passed to some of the experts, archivists and professors there, you can all but sit by the phone waiting for a response. Certainly nobody has just sat there waiting for your call. And so you occupy yourself for a couple of days while waiting for message that Harvard has received your inquiry and is interested in responding to it. And finally, 4 or 5 days later, you get a return call. It's just as you are re-entering the hotel at which you're staying right now. There is a call at the reception. Oh, Mr. Shattuck, sir?
Yes, hello?
I've got a call here for you. And you are aware that unfortunately the rooms in this hotel do not have their own telephones, but there is a bank of phones in the reception area, well, with this being the 1920s. And the bellboy says, I can let you take it here, or tell them that you'll call back, and he points over at one of the sheltered phones where you're less likely to be disturbed.
Yeah, if you could just give me their exchange, and then I'll just have the operator put me through for one of the reception areas.
Yes, of course. You're going to want to ask for a Professor Julius Smith at Harvard University, and he gives you the exchange number. He then speaks to Smith, one would assume, over the phone, and explains that you will shortly be calling back.
I leave a nickel for the bellboy, and then I will head over to the phone area and call back Dr. Julius Smith. Or I assume Dr. Julius Smith.
Well, you get through to quite the avuncular fellow. Shelby Shattuck!
Professor Smith, I presume.
You presume correctly. You've been in the deepest, darkest Peru, eh? Writing stories about... And the line isn't great. It crackles a little. And all kinds of... It crackles again. But you get the gist.
Exactly, yes. And when I was there, I had some fascinating experiences with the local, let's say, mythology and lore. And as I was preparing this trip for Africa, I thought I would do similar research to get a sense of what the locals feel and think, and what kind of exciting stories they have to share. And then I was directed to a book in your library, but I can't seem to find it? I was wondering maybe if it had been just on loan, or if you knew something about the book, so I could maybe find my own copy of it.
Well, it was interesting you raised the subject of that book. I'm afraid I didn't catch half of what you just said, but I think I get the general turn. And there's more static. It was loaned out to a scholar of the local area, Cambridge, which is of course where we are. I'm just a visiting professor, you understand. I'm from Britain.
Really? I couldn't tell.
Can you hear me? I'm well travelled, I'll say that. Seasoned, I think, is the right word. Maybe even a little spiced. But an expert around the area by the name of Dr. Carl Stanford. That's Carl Stanford. That's it, Stanford, not Stamford. That's a place and it crackles. But Stanford. He's a local scholar on all manner of esoterica, among other things. And we wouldn't have even noticed. More static. Missing, but your call made me search the archives. It seems that Carl never, and that's where he cuts off. Did you catch that?
It sounds like Carl, he never brought it back.
That's right. That's what I said. Yes. I'm sure there's Carl Stanford is a local pillar. He's not going to be selling it on the black. But he's probably should. The university will. So anyway, I heard your name, Carruthers, the slight fellow wandering around. Anyway, been a joy spending time to my. Yeah.
I got some of that, but it sounds like Rupert has been ingratiating himself with you?
Oh, very ingratiating, yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. He's a lovely fellow.
That is, yes. You're not sure whether he understood what you just said, but he seems happy about it.
Yes, well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. This line's pretty bad, so I'll let you go. But you've been a wonderful help, and I will contact Dr. Stanford with an N.
I'll okay.
All right, thank you.
And you. You would think that New York to Boston wouldn't have such terrible telephone lines, but you can only hope that at some point communication becomes simpler. So yes, you have, of course, learned that it seems the book that you're seeking was at some point checked out or signed out by a Carl Stanford, a pillar of the Cambridge, Massachusetts community, and scholar of the esoteric, and was subsequently not returned. Now, you have to wonder, Shelby, how many copies of this book actually exist. Mass publication of books, especially of this variety, isn't all that common, even in the 1920s. And given the proximity of Boston to New York, maybe the book that you briefly had was at one point in Carl Stanford's possession. If you want to get in touch with him, you are more than welcome to get in contact with an operator and ask for Dr. Carl Stanford in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and strike while the iron is hot.
Well, you call. The operator attempts to put you through. Make a luck roll.
I rolled 68 over 44.
Yeah, unfortunately, Stanford is unavailable at this time. Now, if you choose to pursue this beyond this point, Shelby, that is your choice. You can absolutely do that. Right now, just due to the matter of Stanford not being available, you cannot get through to him.
I think given the fact that he's unavailable and it's been several days, I'm starting to get a little antsy. I think I want to call Oxford, my alma mater, and also see maybe if they've heard of some of these books as well. And also just, it's been quite a while since I've been back in England. My poor just checking in, seeing if anyone's heard anything, need anything.
So you spend much of the rest of the afternoon, well, you actually have to wait until the following day because of time zones being what they are. No one's going to be answering phones in Oxford in the evening. But come the following day, a couple of things have changed. One is, yes, you can get in touch with Oxford University. And two, it seems Dr. Carl Stanford has left a message for you at the hotel reception. The message is passed on to you. Dr. Carl Stanford tried to call. He complained about the terrible line. But more than that, he was sad to explain that he no longer possesses the book that you were seeking, though he remarks that it was very interesting and could probably recall most of the salient details should you ever have the chance to sit down over a coffee to discuss it. If you come to the Boston area, please seek me out. Signed off, Carl Stanford.
Good to know for future. Then I think with the final burst of my week, I'm going to check in with Elias's publisher and see if we can track down who the publisher of that book was and see if it is a local press or if it's something wider.
Very good. So you get in touch with, for the first time in a while, Jonah Kensington at Prospero House. And Jonah is only too happy to hear from you again. Shelby! Lovely to hear from you.
And
wonderful,
you.
Wonderful. Have you heard the good news?
No, what happened?
Well, it only came out this morning. I heard it from Carlton, the solicitor, Jackson's solicitor.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson should be out, free man by the weekend. It's just paperwork now, just paperwork.
Excellent. That's wonderful to hear. I'm so glad it worked out.
Oh, believe me, you cannot. I cannot quite summarize my gladness right now. I had a drink to celebrate rather rudely without inviting anyone to share. But if you happen to come by Prospero House, I'm sure there's something left in the bottle.
Trust me, I will probably find my own libations or 3 in celebration as well.
Anyway, if you didn't know, if that you weren't calling me to tell me about Jackson, what's up, as they say?
I was wondering if you could help me because being a owner of a publishing house yourself, I suspect you probably know other publishers, particularly boutique publishers of specialized interests.
Oh, very much so, very much so. It's an interesting business to be in. Shelby, but limited profit margin, you understand. It's good if you have good access to your clientele. Otherwise, you're just sort of splashing around out there. It's cutthroat, you know?
Oh, no, I totally understand how publishing in a small industry can lead to very minimal margins.
I wouldn't know. So, it sounds like you've got the bit between your teeth. What is it you're looking into?
If you remember when Jackson shared Jackson's case notes with me, he had mentioned that he was trying to find a book at Harvard University, but they said that they no longer had access to it.
Yes, that was right. What was it? Secrets of Africa or something?
It turns out the title's Africa's Dark Sects. I managed to track that down.
Ah, yes. Let me just check something. And you hear him rustling some paperwork. Africa's Dark Sects should be near the top if I organize these things alphabetically, shouldn't it?
Of course, unless you turn it upside down.
Unfortunately, I don't. But I should be able to find it. Yes, here it is. Jackson asked me to look into it.
Okay.
a while back, obviously. To track down the original Oh, that's why you're calling. You want to know who published it. I only found the information out recently. It took some digging. It's a organization, some kind of... to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what. It's called the Penhew Foundation.
Oh, interesting.
Seems to be based in your previous neck of the woods, England. Good old Blighty.
Do you know where in England exactly?
London.
Okay. Well, of course.
I might be able to find an actual address. And he does some digging. Yes, Penhew Foundation, Central London, Devonshire Street. Off Theobald's Road. But yeah, it looks like central. You wouldn't have any difficulty finding it if you were in the city. Why, are you looking to... I hope you're not turning your back on me already.
No, of course not. No. In fact, I may have something to talk to you about in the business end more. It was just research. I'm trying to find more information about the material Jack's looking into, and since the copy from Boston has seemed to have disappeared, I wanted to see maybe if they had alternative copies or another way I can order that copy to get a copy of that book. That was the main reason why I was...
Yeah, likely is they'll have the source documents at the Penhew Foundation, if nothing else, or at least they'll know where it's stored. Quite often with these academic texts, they're kept in private libraries or university vaults, you know? So Harvard was a good place to check, but I imagine it's closer to home in the England sense.
Right, yes, and I have a few friends over there that can shake some trees and knock on doors, as it were.
Yes, happy hunting, and if you see Jackson before I do, give him my love.
I will, absolutely, and once I talk with him and he's had a chance to recombobulate, I want to talk to him about maybe collaborating on something that we can then pitch to you as a possible manuscript.
Oh, that would be wonderful. I've already been, shall we say, specking out the possibility of Jackson writing A Month in Prison or something like that. Those kind of tell-alls, they sell well, especially to magazines.
True.
Anyway, you take care of yourself, Shelby.
Yes, thank you, Jonah.
Love to all.
Bye-bye.
Felix, your mind has been rattled. It seems that almost every time I go to you, I have to introduce you by saying something along those lines. You seem to have a cluster of voices that follow you around, sometimes even manifesting within your sight. And then, of course, there was that incident in the cellar of the Juju house where the minds weren't just in your head, they were very much in the ground, calling to you. Thankfully, since your encounter with the cults, things have quietened. You've not encountered your brother. You've not encountered de Mendoza. It has been blissfully silent, as if the deal that you forged has actually paid off. You've been given a reprieve. With your newfound freedom, Felix Bauer, what have you been doing?
Yes. All those voices, everything I've seen and heard, and those things that manifested. Dealing with it all. Rationalizing it, finding some way to cope with the fact that was something I experienced. It's been very, very difficult, and I have felt the attraction of the bottle, the way I used to solve dealing with my war memories. But I know where that path leads. I know where it led in the past. And I found myself thinking of Siegfried, thinking of what de Mendoza said, that he had eaten him, he had swallowed his soul, or something like that, and I know that Siegfried is dead, but there was something oddly comforting about being able to still speak to him. that still have his presence in my life somehow. And I haven't known what to do. I've racked my brain trying to think of how to find him again and how to find some solace and knowledge of what has actually happened to him. And I think that what I have done is I've turned to something that I hadn't turned to for a long time. I think I've tried turning to religion. I think I've gone to a church. I was raised Lutheran, and well, I mean, our church is here in New York. I think I just went there, not really knowing what to do, because I hadn't been there for a long time. I'd written it all off as, I mean, if you've been in the trenches, how can you believe in a god, right? I mean, that kind of evil can't be. It can't be something that the creator has created. But I find myself there, just sitting in the pews, just thinking, just hoping that perhaps Secret will come back to me, that he will speak to me again, and that he will comfort me and provide some kind of meaning and stability in this whirlwind, this nightmare that I've found myself in. All these impossible things, now possible, things I've seen with my own eyes, things that I have destroyed with my own hands.
You visit no fewer than 4 churches during this week. Not because any of them fail to provide solace, it's more that none of them quite fulfill the need you're looking for. Yes, it's peace. Yes, it's quiet. Yes, there's solemnity in the possibility of prayer, and indeed no lack of Lutheran places of worship in New York. It always makes for a strange sight when you're looking for the next one. You navigate the city without a map, but churches aren't too difficult to find, spires puncturing the skies and standing rigidly between buildings much more set up for utilitarian purpose. Triangles amid the cubes, and whenever you enter one of them, it's as if bliss washes over you. But then it drains out of you. It never lasts for too long. Maybe the reverends in each church can see from your expression that you're not someone worth approaching, worth saving, or maybe they see that you're beyond their approach. Maybe they're scared of you. After all, you still wear battle scars. There's not much you can do about them. But in the 4th church, a reverend does take a seat beside you. "I've not seen you before," he says, "and I can tell you are not from New York. Do you mind if we speak a while?"
I would love that. Thank you.
You're German, yes?
Yes, I suppose you can hear it on the accent.
Very far from home.
Indeed. Life takes us on such strange journeys, doesn't it?
Many. I don't need to tell you that Jesus Christ walked many a strange road on his journey, and I'm not about to evangelize. Do not worry. But you should know that even when far from home, when you're in God's house, you are as close to the Lord as you ever can be.
And it feels good. I struggle so much with everything that I've seen. You can probably tell that I'm of the age where I would have served in the war, like many of those that have come back from there. I wrestled with demons and the sights of what I saw and what I did. And I struggle so with making sense of this world, with making sense of all the chaos and all the evil in it.
I share your fears, your concerns, the things that prevent you from sleep. I too fought in Europe between the years 1917 and 18 against, well, maybe even against you. Who knows? Maybe we were just 300 yards from each other, one trench to the other. keeping our heads low, hoping for the best, praying that God would intercede. But he didn't, did he?
No. I survived, but I often wonder if I really did.
Well, when I meet soldiers, whether they are soldiers of the Lord or soldiers coated in grime or blood or memories, I'm forced to remind them that when they are struggling with their faith, when they are struggling to believe in themselves and the ability that they have to go on, because that is your obligation, not to be successful or to be happy or to become a father or a husband or successful at your work. It is to persist, because whatever occurs in your life is what is meant to occur. I'm not going to riddle you with talks of God's plan or put things down to divine will. But what I am going to say to reassure you, my brother, he says, and he holds your hand at this point unsolicited. He has a cold hand, but it is still somehow reassuring, like gripping stone. God does not intercede. God does not shout. God does not cry. God does not judge, even though so many of us believe he does. God does not anger. God does not feel. Nor does God help. And usually when I tell soldiers this, they look at me like you are looking at me now, my brother, and they ask, well, in that case, what does God do? And sometimes they will ask that in words coated with venom, what the hell does God do? And all I can tell them is that God smiles. If, my brother, you can just survive, you will know that God smiles. And if you can realize that when your friends died in those trenches or in no man's land or in any other place, that they went up to meet him, you should know that God smiles. When you pray, he smiles. When you have friends with you, he smiles. But when you are alone, he smiles, because you are not truly alone. Because where you walk, God walks, and he smiles. He gives your hand a squeeze. You can come in here and pray any time. We never lock our doors.
Thank you. And thank you for those words. It helps. I just want to be worthy of having survived. Be worthy of God's love.
There is no point to my telling you that you are worthy, my brother. There's no point even if Jesus were to resurrect before us right now and tell you that you are worthy. You might not believe it. You might think that he is simply consoling you, but one day you will come to that understanding yourself. And when you do, God will smile.
And hearing that, I suppose it does help. It does offer some sense of stability, some sense of all of this at the end making sense. It's about persisting, about not giving up, about continuing to fight the good fight, and continuing to be there for my friends.
So eventually, later that day, you do leave the church, I'm guessing? Or do you spend the whole day and the whole night? You are free to do so. The Reverend will not eject you.
I will spend a significant amount of time there. Tranquility helps, after everything that I've gone through. And then I suppose I will try to make my way back into the world. Again. Try to find my friends. Try to help them.
As you leave the church and head down its steps back into the busy street, you feel a presence at your side, and only briefly do you wonder if it is God. But the smell and the guttural growling tells you otherwise. You spent a long time in there, didn't you? I was growing impatient. And at your side, Silas and Kwani.
Yes. And seeing him... That's... What is he doing here? How is this possible? Is he truly here?
Do not look at me like that, like I am dirt on your shoe. I am with you. I am part of you. And when you walk, he says, his expression turning mocking, you will never walk alone, for I will walk with you, and I will smile.
And I pick up the pace in my steps, trying to outrun something that I can't.
That concludes this episode of Call of Cthulhu, Mask of Nyarlathotep.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play Masks of Nyarlathotep for Chaosium's Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. Joining us as our keeper is none other than our dear friend Matthew Dawkins, and we were also joined by Bridgett, Jeffries, and Eddy Webb. The music was made by Ager Sonus and Halgrath, and we've also used Cryochamber's Lovecraftian compilation albums. All of this with the permission of Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient for your gaming table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Simon Cooper, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Cameron, Graham Barey, Doug Thomson, Lily, Maciej, Black Templar, Dennis Sadecki, and Leonhardt for their generous support. You would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, this show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult of Divinity Lost, Call of Cthulhu, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and Warhammer 40k Imperium Maledictum there. And you can also get early and raw access to all of our recordings, and hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as even play some Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember, I am the last. I will tell the Audient Void.